This is video number 3 in my series, which I have labeled Communism 101. If you want to watch videos number 1 and number 2, I have provided a link in the description below. Also, if you like what you see, I would really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel as well as share this video with as many people as you possibly can. As you well know, our country is in dire need to raise awareness in order to combat the prevalent wave of communism now afflicting our glorious United States of America. In my previous videos, I talked about how evil communism is, its legacy of death and destructions throughout history. In this video, we're going to be talking about what communism does to countries, how it destroys nations, and therefore I have labeled it From Riches to Rags. I'm dedicating this video to all socialists, liberal Democrats, progressive liberals, left-wing liberals, radical leftists, as well as to all the useful idiots out there, the 11% or 36 million Americans who, according to a Rasmussen poll conducted in 2011, think that communism would better serve our nation than capitalism or democracy. I should say that we are about to enter a landmark year. The year 2020 is a year when Americans will decide the future of this nation. As you well know, there are going to be very few alternatives from which to choose. We are either going to vote Republican for capitalism and democracy, or we're going to vote Democrat for socialism and communism. Given the few choices that we have available to us, I thought it would serve everyone's best interest to know what to expect should you decide to vote Democrat in 2020. For the past few months, we have all been listening to the Democratic presidential candidates as they run their mouth in their platforms, which promise everything for free. Free this, free that, free the other.
Free college.
Free public education.
Free education.
A tuition-free system.
And for free community college.
Free.
In other words, if any of the Democratic presidential candidates were to win the elections in the forthcoming presidential elections in 2020, according to them, we could all expect for a free ride from healthcare to education and everything in between. This, my dear friends, just so that you know, it's what it's commonly referred to as demagoguery, which in the most simple way I can think to describe is telling everyone what they want to hear without really meaning it. In addition, if Democrats should win in 2020, you can also expect for a redistribution of wealth in the nation. This was, mind you, the favorite slogan in the platform of the architect of communism, Karl Marx. According to Democrats, the wealthy and the well-to-do in the nation should bankroll the rest of us.
First, it was Ocasio-Cortez with her 70% tax rate, then Elizabeth Warren with her wealth tax, and now Senator Bernie Sanders wants to dramatically reverse recent downward trend of estate taxes, imposing a massive 77% top rate on the richest Americans.
Speaking of the expectations from communism, I gave some serious considerations as to which would be the best way to give you all a bird's eye view on the truth, on what really you can expect from socialism and communism should Democrats win the 2020 elections. And out of the many examples from which to choose, I thought the best way would be to share with you a case in point which is very dear to my heart, very close to home, and that would be to tell you the story of what took place in my native island of Cuba over the past 61 years since the communist takeover by the Castro monsters. To that end, following, I'm going to give you a brief summary, a brief synopsis of what transpired in my once beautiful island. Cuba. The island of Cuba is located in the northern Caribbean, where the Caribbean Sea, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Atlantic Ocean meet. Blessed by some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, and caressed by the radiant Caribbean sun, back in 1958, this island paradise and its 6 million inhabitants at the time were oblivious of the tragedy that lay ahead. Located a measly 90 miles south of Key West, Florida, the island was once a prosperous republic. Back in the 1950s, just before Fidel Castro's communist revolution came to power, Cuba enjoyed a flourishing economy, mostly due to its proximity to the United States, while catering to a thriving tourist industry, which set the stage for unrivaled opportunities to foreign investors from all over the world. By the mid-1950s, life for Cubans was joyful, full of hopes and expectations. The words socialism and communism were foreign to the Cubans' vernacular. Havana, the capital, was enmeshed with picturesque promenades and broadwalks, while waves caressed Havana's harbor, and the streets in all Havana beamed with lights as fun-loving Cubans and tourists mingled in the island's spectacular nightclubs and restaurants, such as the world-renowned Vegas-style Tropicana Club and Casino. During the day, tourists from all over the world and Cubans jointly basked in the sun of Varadero Beach, rated as one of the best beaches in the world. According to statistical studies conducted by the United Nations back in the 1950s, Cuba had, as compared to the world, an economy better off than Spain, Portugal, Greece, Finland, Korea, Taiwan, and Japan. Ranked first in production of cobalt and second in production of nickel, fourth in percentage of average pay to workers, seventh in wages paid to workers in agriculture, and eighth in wages paid to industry workers. As compared to the other 33 Latin American countries, Cuba was the third richest country in Latin America, fifth in per capita income, second in number of automobiles per capita, third in the most strength in the value of monetary system, third in cattle and meat production, first in government-funded public education expenditures, and fifth in the number of college-educated persons per number of inhabitants. On January the 1st, 1959, Cuba's destiny was forever changed upon the takeover of communism led by the Castro brothers Fidel and Raul. In the 61 years since the start of the Castro's takeover, the once prosperous island has been all but obliterated while the prosperity came crumbling down. Today, all Cubans are owned by the state and work exclusively for the benefit of the government, while the average salary is in the range of approximately $20 per month. Food stores and supermarkets, once boasting shelves filled with food and supplies, are now depleted racks as the so-called communist redistribution of wealth resulted instead in a government ration food distribution economy where purchasing of staples such as rice, sugar, milk, and others can only be done with government coupon books, better known as supplies booklet. Today, a gallon of milk in Cuba costs $8.41, equivalent to almost 50% of the average monthly salary of a Cuban. 90% of the population lives under the poverty line. Out of a population of approximately 6 million back in 1959, there were approximately 1.3 million Cubans who had migrated and are now living in the United States, yearning for freedom and away from communism. Be mindful, folks. What happened in Cuba is now happening also in Venezuela. as well as it has happened in every nation under the communist rule before, as well as it can happen in our own United States of America if we continue to allow our communist Democrats have it their way, such as they have over the past decades. Yes, folks, the rise of communism is not unique to Cuba. This is the same rise of communism that the Democrat ideologues vouch should replace our capitalist and democratic republic. So, for those of you who are still in denial, for those of you who still think that it cannot happen, that it can never happen in this great nation of ours, just to be up on the facts, this was the same way that we Cubans felt about communism back in 1958. It could never happen to us, we thought. It could never happen in a prosperous capitalist democracy. Take it from me, my friends. Take it from my fellow Cubans. Take it from the 1.3 million Cubans who fled the island. Take it from the 73,000 that died victims of Fidel Castro and his communist revolution. Take it from the unknown number of Cubans who perished in the Florida Straits as they were fleeing in homemade rafts, trying to reach the U.S. soil, seeking freedom from Cuba's oppressive communist regime. So, if you want to continue endorsing and supporting socialism and communism in the U.S., and if you are thinking of voting for the Democratic ticket in 2020, if you want a free ride from your government or from the wealthy in the U.S., that's fine, you do so. But by the same token, you better start thinking about working exclusively for your government, and better get ready for scarcity of everything. Brace yourselves for empty supermarket racks and for government rationing what you eat, and be ready for paying $8 for a gallon of milk. Be ready for American cities becoming dilapidated and get used to becoming once again energy dependent on the oil cartels from all around the world. My friends, don't say I didn't warn you. I have warned you enough, and honestly, I'm getting tired of doing so. At times, I wish that communism did take over our great nation. There are times when I wish you all elected the likes of an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or a Bernie Sanders, so that you all decide for yourselves once and for all if you want to continue endorsing and supporting communism and thinking that communism can better serve your nation over democracy and capitalism. Thank you. May God help you, and may God save the United States of America.